That's better. That's it. That's all I got. Thanks for playing. Yeah. Ah. Patterns. Patterns, patterns indeed. A charity that's standing by. Ah, somebody's here. Patterns, they say. Boom. Yes, you are. JR, what's going on, man? Welcome. Sunavigi, brother. Brother. Yeah, Sunavigi. Sunavigi, thank you. Thank you indeed. Patterns. Welcome to Sunday Reflections. Yeah, just chilling here. I like this. It's even better. I'm more comfortable here. Yeah. Still got to figure out the camera. I don't like the camera. I mean, my hands look bigger than my head, right? They're really not. Well, actually, they are. Yeah. Look at my big hands and my little head. Big hands and little head. Right. Anyway. Yes. Welcome to Sunday Reflections. Hope that everyone had a great Sunday, great weekend. And this is the end for me. It's always a bittersweet kind of day. Sunday. Friday is a day where I drag my tired ass home and lick my wounds. And then Saturday is, hey, let's do something. Got the whole day, got the whole night, Friday night, got the whole day and night of Saturday. You've got a good 24 hours of stuff, of time that you can do stuff, whatever you want to do. And then Sunday is, well, fuck. You basically just got the day, Prolong your day. Find a way to prolong your day. Really tricked me almost. I know, right? I gotcha. Yeah. I'm still late. So I know, Majik, I still get a demerit. That's all right. That's all right. Yes, I wear them proudly. Yeah. So, 9 o'clock, bedtime, go back to work for a week, work for 5 days, and get another weekend somewhere off. Oh, yes. Oh. I am tired. Yeah, what do you think, Charity? Charity's hanging out with me here, just watching, relaxing. You have something on your beard. Yeah, I know. Bug out. Hey, who's that? Drake's Bane. What's going on? How are you doing? Welcome to Sunday Reflections. Yeah. How's the audio? How's the video? It looks blurry. Yeah, it looks blurry over here. I don't know. I've changed everything. I've changed my pattern. I like to do that. I like to change everything from time to time. Well, it's good. It's good to switch up things, right? Yeah, that's how we learn. That's how we evolve. You know, that's how we do things. That's how we do shit. That's how we grow, right? We develop a pattern and then we change it. Or, like, yeah, that works so well, but, you get to the point where you're just like, I'm tired of this. It's time to move on to something else. Uh, expect the unexpected in the pattern. It's, well, we're going to get into that, Magic. The human mind is something interesting. We find patterns in the randomness of shit. Yeah, I mean, literally, you can look at a wall, a literal wall that's been just a wall, a rock, and you will see patterns. It's totally randomly made. It's literally you take something and throw it up against a wall. Boom, there's a pattern. You'll see a pattern in it. We are our minds are attuned. Uh, they're attuned to see patterns, to see things, faces, figures. We recognize a lot of things, and everybody knows what a man looks like running. Everybody knows we recognize things. That's a pattern. Everything, you know. So, and we also use that to our advantage because you have to break up that pattern. Yeah, camouflage, right? Camouflage is all about breaking up your pattern. We have a head, we have shoulders, we have we move, we have hands, we have legs, we move a certain way. Even the sublime torso has a pattern to it, a recognizable pattern. So breaking all that up, we know that breaking all that up somehow uh, disrupts the pattern, and the mind has a harder time. It still does find it, still can find things once you attune your mind and training. It doesn't take much at all. In the darkness, we notice that that if you look at something directly, you swear that that bush is someone there. But if you look around it, around the outside, or even just use your peripheral, you'll notice, oh, it's just a fucking bush. That's a tree. But the darkness in our eyes and the psychology of our mind, we see a pattern. We're like, what is that? I see a pattern. Same thing with sequences and movements and directions. You notice that a lot of things people come in have a pattern to their lives. We all do. We all have a pattern, a time, a schedule that we keep, a certain route that we take, to and from work. When we walk the dog, there's a pattern, you know. Investigators are trained to find the pattern of the perpetrator and their job and what they do. Say it's a serial killer, is there a pattern? Well, yes, there is always a pattern. Or is the serial killer smart enough to change up his pattern, make things random? Instead of raping the victim first, does he kill them, or does he kill them then rape them? Does he, whatever. Linda, hey, what's going on, Linda? Hey, how you doing? There's a pattern. We see patterns in the medical. That's how they learn. They know how certain cancers and diseases and bacterias react and carry themselves, throughout their lives or whatever. And there's a pattern to that. There's a pattern to life. I am still here. I love it, Linda. Go team Linda. Fuck. So knowing the pattern, medical of the cancer or whatever, it and the body we can effectively fight and win. That's what a lot of medical field is based on, and but it's very analytical. This whole pattern recognition. It's very, very, you think Fibonacci sequence, you think, you know, odds and evens, counting in that nature. But there's an art to it. There is an art. So you can learn all that pattern recognition, and you can have a pattern of learning, and then of course applying it. But then it turns into an art. That's where the arts and the science meet, because it is a medical art. You kind of figure it out, because a lot of things don't go the way that the pattern dictates. That's not life. That's not the world that we live in. There is a lot of random generation, even though there is a divine pattern to everything. It's interesting, but it's more like an art, a feeling, an emotion, a, a passion. So if we're always stuck in a pattern, trying to figure out the pattern, then somehow, some way, it changes. There's a quirk. There's a there's a wild card that enters the thing, and that's not a pattern. That's a change in the pattern, or the pattern dissipates and becomes something else. The more we look into, you know, quantum physics and of course into our own universe and galaxy, yeah, even into the world of atoms and protons and electrons and quarks and all kinds of things like that, we find that, yeah, there's patterns, but there's always a wild card that comes in. Boom, 369. We like patterns because of our ability to see patterns and to uh, look at, identify and recognize patterns. We can predict patterns. I can predict, by looking at certain things in the financial world, or we can all do this in the political world. We do this in a lot of things that we do. We recognize a pattern, and we can kind of tell the future from it. Probably the probability of this pattern emerging. And once that pattern emerges, we're like, okay, step one, step two, step three, step four. All right, yeah. And then boom, out of nowhere comes the wild card. It fucks us all up. We don't know what to do. There's always a pattern. Even in the chaos, there's a pattern. It's chaotic. War, conflict. It's funny how that you can see a pattern in something the most chaotic of things. Hmm. Even though everything is telling us that it's a madhouse. It's all randomly generated stuff. And that was the idea when we looked into the stars. What's up, Scott? Looked up to the stars, or looked down into a microscope. What are the lotto numbers for tomorrow? Can be right. This was this was inspired by last night. I I I do a game called Trial by Axe. Trial by Axe, where I randomly generate numbers, or try to anyway. But I notice that when I'm randomly generating numbers, I develop a pattern. The same thing with AI. What's up, Ivory Key? Hey, welcome. Same thing with an AI or a computer or something of that nature. It's all patterns. It's all analytical. So asking asking them to randomly generate combat bacon. We've seen the random generator. There is a pattern. As much as they can randomly generate anything, there's a pattern. Irishman, welcome. A pattern is created out of nothing. It's amazing. It's amazing how it works. If you take a quarter, we've heard about, I heard this in school. You take a quarter, heads or tails, heads or tails, heads or tails, heads or tails. You throw it up 100 times. It's supposed to be absolutely randomly generated 50-50 chance that there'll be a heads or tails. But there is a pattern. You might get 5 heads one time, 6 heads, 6 tails, 5 heads again, 6 tails again, 1, 2, head, back, 4, and 4, and 4. And this is your Friday pattern. See what I mean, Ace? There's a pattern. There's your pattern. The human mind, the human behavior, we are pattern creatures. We love a regiment. We love putting things in a box. We love to classify and identify and rationalize and you know, if if someone is if someone is a certain way, there's their pattern. If someone is who I identify, who I assign their identity to, that this is their pattern. Is it racism? No, it's pattern developing. It is. Is it through genetics? Is it through, history? Is it our, well, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that, it seems, but we're really good at looking at patterns and making patterns. I noticed a lot of times when I would fight or spar, I would always go into this, right, I would always go into this idea of I'm just going to forget everything I was taught and just do whatever, react, proact. But then looking back at it, or talking to the person, like, every time you go to the body, you always, or you kick, you always throw this punch first, or you look to the side and boom, it happens. There's a pattern to your fighting. You get into a very long combination where you're just making shit up. It's you've because you've went back in your training, because you only fight as good as you train. You go back to your training and you're learning a set of movements in a pattern. Left, right step, punch, kick, left punch, right kick, that kind of thing. And then the idea is to forget all of that, because you got to be in the moment and be able to react and respond to whatever is happening in the situation. Tactical kitties, all right. Same thing with war. Someone's over here. You have all this training, but when you get into the shit, you're just like, well, fuck. Throw all your training to the wind, but there's still a pattern. You got to boom, you got to sight in. You're doing the patterns, even though you don't you you don't realize it. Others will see the pattern in you, and if you have a hindsight of 2020, you will notice your pattern. There's patterns of a sporadic fighter. Yes, I'd like to be. I'd like to think of myself as that as well, but there is a pattern always, and that's big. Even in sports, I mean, sports is a lot like fighting as well. So sports patterns. Nature has its own patterns that it carves into the landscape. I remember a study, like a squirrel on meth. That's crazy. I remember there was an experiment that was done about traffic patterns in Japan. And they were so proud of the way that they had set up their city and their traffic patterns and their trains, you know, and they were like, wow, this is great. And then they found a fungus. I forgot what kind of fungus. Fungus among us. That literally mapped out a better, more efficient route, a better pattern than what they had. And they're like, no shit. They seen the pattern and they realized that their pattern was not efficient and sucked. And that nature had found a better way. Look at the concentric circles. What's up, Gardner Josh? The concentric circles on a tree, how they grow. The pattern has to be made for that tree to grow. And you'll see breaks in the pattern where there was a blight or insects or fire. Fed up. Hey, what's up? See our plants? There's a definite pattern and type of pattern in their root system. Some have long tap roots, some have runners. There's a pattern. But there's still an art to it. It seems that chaos and randomness in life leads to pattern building. It really does. A order to things. Kind of ties into the whole from chaos comes order. And if you think about it, I have a try to pattern to work back to my times. Exactly, right? If you can recognize your patterns, you can change them and fuck everybody all up, right? Yeah, we know the environmental patterns throughout the look at the Farmer's Almanac. They've got decades of weather patterns, dialed in. Wow, that's awesome. Fed up. I talked to mine. Hey, what's up? Hey, Chinese onion, red onion. How you doing? Yeah, I have two plants now. Yeah, anyway. But yeah, just thinking about this. This is all randomly generated. I see how I you could get them mixed up, right, Carl? I see how I make this game, right? With the randomly generated numbers. I do have a set of patterns that I adhere to with certain numbers that I throw in there, like 150, 164. Those are all kind of numbers that at 17, 76, 74, that I just throw in there as fillers because it's really hard for my brain to go 16, 27, 99, 44. There will be a pattern to your thing, and if you make if I set one game to a randomly set of numbers, what's up, Pete? Then the next game, I'm cognizant of the numbers generation I did on this game, and I try to mix it up on the next game. Hence another pattern. Even in the randomly generated numbers, I will omit numbers because I've already used them in the last game. So I'm still got a pattern going on, even in my randomness. Cook dandelion flowers today and a roast. Really? Badass combat. I've heard of this. Experimental frequencies. Hell yeah. Majit going Tesla on us. All right. We need a new Tesla in this world. Hell yes. I support this. And I notice, what's up, Kenogen? I notice in the players who have no idea what is on this sheet of paper. And I see patterns. All the numbers. Was this backwoods and Virginia roots? those who know how to play the game, or veterans, seasoned veterans that have played the game, they always have a certain pattern that they go with. First they already know the fill-in numbers, like 150, 164, you know and they go for those, and then they know that, you know in the past, that the kill shots were very, very high numbers, uh, and so they go for those because that's the probability that the high numbers, like 90, will be a headshot. But I realize this and I change it up. I see the patterns of what numbers people go to first. It's their go-to numbers. And they actually have patterns. They use using patterns to try to get a hit. They'll do their own sequence. Milkmaid used the Fibonacci sequence in hers. Usually you see a sequence like 21, 22, 23, 40, 50, 60. And they might have it might bear fruit. But there's always a pattern in the way that people approach and try to figure out the randomness, the unknown factor of this game. Here for the thick chicks in the revolution. Corn pop. There's a pattern for you. Men are very good at looking at patterns, finding patterns, seeing the similarities of things and see how things work, right? Yeah, this is what does it take to make this work? Where's the pattern? Pete, you're an engineer. That's all you do. That's how your mind is wired. Women are good at finding the break in the patterns. Because they know they're like, wait a minute. He had white wine with his fish tonight instead of red wine. It makes them wonder. We know the pattern and we figure it out, like, okay, this is what it takes. This is the pattern that it takes to make this happen. Whatever the goal may be, whatever it is, you're building something, you're breaking something, we see it. We see the weak spots. We see the strong points. We know the pattern. Breaking patterns prevents ambush. Yeah. Yeah. In patrolling, we were told to you have your patrol route, and then every patrol route must be different from the last patrol route, and so on and going forward. So every patrol that went out, they would plot their patrol route, and it would totally be different because now you have to cover a different part of land, and then try to, like, maybe overlap the old route to see if you can catch somebody, and checking up on your land on your old route. So you would find them trying to set up the ambush. There you go. So your heightened sense of awareness of the old route into your new route. And there you go. It's one way of catching them. Because yeah, they'll track you. Maybe they're a little slow. Maybe they don't realize that you've already changed the pattern. But even when you keep changing the pattern going forward with your patrol routes, every time you're picking a new route, you're still showing a pattern because it's in a very predictable pattern. You look at a CP, it's a circle. Right, exactly. Combat, yeah. Call signs, freaks, all that stuff. Yeah. But you look at the CP and you look at the patrols that go out, it's like a pie around the CP. First squad went that way, Second squad went that way. Third squad went that way. First platoon's here. First squad, second squad, third squad. And so the whole area is covered in a pattern. So hindsight being 2020, you can look at that and go, they covered everything. That's great. So it looks good to the LT, you know. Even with the free copying capabilities of the military comms and everything. Rogers Rangers. Yeah, Rogers Rangers. Yeah, never return the same route. Yeah. Always change your stop points to avoid patterns. But if you were a very astute enemy, you would go, they're going to be in this section next. And then they're going to be in this section next. They're going to be in this section next. They're going to be in this section next. And so on and so forth. So it wouldn't take much for you to go, look in that area. Look there. Because even with the randomness, there's still a pattern. As much as we tried and everything, we got ambushed. We got hit. No big deal. It was in the middle of the night. And I don't know if we got anybody or not. We got shot at, and then we shot a lot, and it was gone. No more ambush. Always zig when they expect a zag. How do you know they're going to expect a zag? You may think Mother Nature has a lot of randomness, but she is full of patterns. Indeed, Ace, indeed. Look at a leaf. Look at a leaf. Now, yes, there's things are the pattern is based on the availability of food, the environmental conditions, the availability of sunlight, but that's all predictable, very predictable, and the plant will grow to its strengths. It's not going to grow to its weaknesses. It will grow to the advantage point. They didn't know was that the SDM Overwatch Tech human anatomy is based on patterns. Yeah, we're somewhat symmetrical. Two eyes, one here, one there, a nose in the center. We have a center line, and we have equal portions on left and right side. You have an arm over here, an arm over here, legs over here, legs over there. Ooh, Prepper's Paradise, the golden ratio. Prepper's Paradise. What's up? What's up, Rage? Rage is still the golden ratio. See, you guys are smarter than me. Patterns. And we find patterns very aesthetically pleasing. Basket weaving. We know that certain patterns in structural designs lead to structural integrity. And we know that you can't just randomly generate a building because eventually it's just going to fall down because, you have not adhered to the principles or the pattern that is needed to provide for structural integrity. You'll see a lot of art in CDEB, a lot of art that tries to get away from patterns. Black Cube of Saturn. Interesting. And try to make Pablo Picasso, remember his paintings. He was very against patterns. But he created his own pattern. Things that melt. What was it called? The Persistence of Time, one of my favorite of his. And maybe one of his most famous. Persistence of Time, the melting clocks everywhere on a crazy landscape. All right. Thank you, Stella. Yeah, Stella, give us an update of what's going on in Canada with your internets and stuff. Like a tight shop pattern, right? When you're shooting, you'll see a pattern. See a pattern in your results of how everything is mechanically put together, you know. And if your pattern and not adhering to the principles and fundamentals of marksmanship, then your pattern is going to be way off. You're gonna be all over the place. You might as well be shooting a shotgun. And speaking of which, a shotgun. Now that's a randomly generated pattern. The pattern spread. It's the BBs, the pellets. They come out and they literally go randomly. They're randomly generated. But eventually, if you keep shooting at the same target, they will cover every square inch of the target. There'll be nothing left. It's interesting. Perfect groupings and pleading the fifth. We see patterns today. You shooting Morse code? Dot dot dash dot dash dash dot dot dash dot dash. We've been noticing a pattern in our regime change, our regime. We know their pattern. We know that they wish to that their pattern is a way to gain have a means to an end, right? They to bring us into this new world, this new age. But we've seen this pattern before. So we know that the pattern, we know the game plan that they're using. Well, some of us do. Right on, combat. 140. Damn. 185? I ain't that good. I'm good at 50. Maybe 100 if I got a long barrel shotgun. Yeah. with a decent little red dot on it, I can do that. Maybe 100 meters. Old farts do, right? Z. What we've seen, that's why we study history. History is full of patterns of human behavior and war and starvation and hunger and we see the patterns of migration of all things, not just humans. You see the pattern in the evolution of building and technology. Growing while here, busy producing biochar. 4 power scope on a shotgun. Wow. I literally took I used to have I know I put an EOTech on my shotgun. I had a Keltec. And I was like, yeah, this is gonna help me out so much. No. No, I just thought about it. I was like, this shotgun is it's specific purpose. I'm not going to be making headshots at 100 yards with this thing. It's going to be a close-in weapon. So I put a flash. I took the EOTech off, and now I have a flashlight. That's it. Wherever and I of course I've made sure that the flashlight and the pattern are basically right in line with each other. So I hit that flashlight wherever the light goes. That's where the pellets go, or the slug. But a pattern, a randomness pattern, a randomly generated, this has been proven many times, a randomly generated event eventually will always create a pattern and loop around and continue. Look at the Mayan calendar. 2012 was supposed to be the end of the world. Yet it wasn't. It was just a new beginning. I would draw a pattern. Yeah. Yeah, they used to do that. Yeah, they would draw. They would in the range, they would make Christmas card or happy birthday cards for people. Happy birthday, and just draw it out with bullets. I want to put a bicycle squeeze horn on my defense shot. Yes. I love it, combat. Yeah, that'd be great. Tactical, the tactical horn. Ooga, ooga. Recognizing patterns and tracking. You know how a deer walks, you know how a rabbit walks, a raccoon. We see the pattern of their feet. We know what a dog looks like when it walks, what the pattern looks like when it's running, when it's walking. It goes left, goes right. It's shifting its weight. Same thing with humor and justice. There's patterns everywhere. Even with the leaves that fall onto the forest floor, there is a pattern. Time itself is a pattern. Ahooga! Boom! I love it. I want one now. Combat bacon. You should make that, dude, and sell it. Picatinny rail or M-lock or key lock mounted uh, fretboard patterns. Look at that. Music is I want one too now. Combat, you're onto something here. Uh-oh. Oh, what? Please. What was I gonna say? Patterns. Like hunting deer in wild game. Meteorologists are all about studying the weather patterns. Yeah, music. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. I used to frequent a drum circle. It does, doesn't it, Doomer? I used to go to a drum circle, and it was not choreographed. It was bring your own drum, bring your own little whatever noisemaker you had. Rorschach target testing. Ooh, Rorschach. And it would start out and it would just be crazy. Yeah, one person is doing his own little, what's up, Jake? He would go, then somebody else is over here going, then somebody else is over here going. It's all randomly generated. And it sounds like shit at first. But then it has it starts to get into sync, and everybody kind of falls into the same kind of pattern eventually. Yep, petals of a flower to a rainbow. And we've talked about this before. How can life be randomly generated? There's so much intelligent design and patterns into things. Archaeologists are trained to look at landscapes and go, that looks like an abandoned ancient castle wall there. Bullshit. That's just a bunch of rocks in a randomly generated area, weathered down and whatnot. Boom, go up, look at it from Google. No shit. Looks like a castle wall with more star forts. Star forts. It appears that the universe likes patterns. Stars. Look at how galaxies and solar systems are all patterned the same. It's amazing. Pattern cycles, time. Lots of patterns. Yeah, right, right, Virginia. That's crazy stuff. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, different frequencies, different, all it eventually it makes some type of pattern. Yeah, Emoto. When he was playing music to water. What's up, Roots? How you doing? Human behavior, right, Lily? Yes, we all there's patterns everywhere. Found Viking burial mounds from Earth formations with, yeah, human behavior patterns. You Virginia Roots can talk to you a lot about the human behavior patterns. Hey, what's up, Lori? Wow, everybody's popping in here now. Lucky. It's all energy. Energy has a pattern, a frequency. The universe loves patterns. And it appears that we are facing a pattern breaker. They wish to destroy this pattern of success that we've had in the world for quite some time. Yet they have a pattern. History has always shown us that eventually their pattern is disrupted and the natural order of things is always put back. We have rain. Interesting. Star patterns like onions to a new template instead of patterns. I learned from my Sifu about microcosms and macrocosms. Right. Not created or destroyed. Just changes. And that really got to me. That really opened my mind on a lot of things, you know, that everything is a microcosm. That we ourselves are a microcosm of the universe. And it appears that a lot of big things out there are macrocosms of even the smallest, tiniest little bit of speck of shit on the tip of a pen, the DNA patterns. If you step back, right, Milkmaid, you're kind of the one. You're the one that kind of inspired all this. It got me your Fibonacci sequence last night, which was it did actually bear some fruit. If I let fenced grades in a spot, thine cow shall find it. Right? They're trained. They're trained. What's up, Chris? Cows have wire cutters for the fence. Yes, they're trained to find a. How it works, right? The pattern always be created, become strong, become tight, become interwoven, a cohesive pattern. And then the pattern will start to break down. There'll be weak points, and then the pattern actually starts to dissipate and degrade and disappear. Another pattern to come out of the ashes of that pattern, which in itself is a pattern. Fingerprints to solve crimes. Yeah, who would have thought that this is a pattern? A very identical, a very identifying pattern. Woodland has always been your favorite pattern. Yeah. Find the wink link. Right. Well, I mean, it's I wouldn't say the evil ones. I always look for the weak link in things. Yeah. It's part of Sun Tzu. Yeah. Find vulnerability in your enemy and make yourself invincible. That's what it 3D pattern vibrations and waves cycling over and over again. We've all seen what happens when you throw a rock into the water. Yes. Milkmaid, yeah. We've all seen that. Yeah, 1001100. 3.14 pi. I love pi. The sequence at some point comes back. I forget where, but it does. It never understand. Interrupt here to me when they're trying to destroy us. Corn pouch. Wisconsin. Indeed, it has. Yes, it is a pattern. And you guys picked up on it. And I threw it in there purposefully. It's repetitive. Yeah, it's circles. It seems that a circle is a very interesting pattern. Yeah. There's always a circle back. Walk the circle. Like I said before with the Arcturus pattern, dragon eats its tail. The longest time, I often believed everything was random and chaotic because I myself was random and chaotic. Yeah. Absolutely. I wonder what the reason is, Milkmaid. Yeah. It is. Yeah, absolutely, combat. A lot of circular patterns. Look at the nautilus. Look at a flower. Look at a stem. Look at a bee's ass. Lots of circle. There is a lot of circles. There's very right angles, squares, rectangles, but there is. There appears to be some type of randomly generated. Yeah, if there's a square pond, you throw a rock into it, there will be a circle wave. Shoreline come back on off a frequency, you know. I remember Carmel Carl, spirographics. It looks like a tiny penis. There's a pattern here. Yeah. Most of nature is delicious. Why is that? Why is that? Doomer, don't ruin it. It's inspiring. You know, it's very inspiring. Life, the pattern, it must be male, it must be female. For us to get where we are, for life to propagate, to carry on in any species, there must be a male and there must be a female. It's the only way it works. Duality, yes. Finding that perfect balance in the pattern. Migration patterns, yes. I am in a ancient migration pattern, an ancient migration route here in Cleveland. All the birds come flying through here, going back and forth from Canada to Florida or South America. I don't know. All kinds of insects come this way too. A holding pattern, right? Right. Patterns are everywhere. In everything. We have pattern. We have mapped out the pattern of everything, or so it seems. So anytime I hear something about of tyranny, yeah, that's what I was going to talk about there, combat. It is. We know. We've seen this pattern before. And that's why we refuse to give up our guns. Because we know how it ends. We know that eventually tyranny will take over. We will succumb to tyranny. And then we'll have to shoot our way out. We are in Weimar, Germany. See what happened to Haiti. Haiti was enslaved. Haiti was a slave plant, a slave island for the French. Yeah, for the French. And eventually, the slaves revolted and won their own freedom. They are the only successful slave revolt that won. The only one. Fought and won their freedom. Fast forward a couple hundred years. See what happens now? Once again, they are enslaved and fighting for their freedom. Or fighting for something. I think we miss the pattern. We see the same thing happening to our country. Tyranny is creeping in. We see it spreading across the land. We through lies and suggestions. Eventually, the lies and the suggestions start to become true because everyone starts to believe it and starts to police their own. You've seen that with the mask mandates. If everybody's wearing mask, one person comes walking through the crowd with no mask. Where's your mask? Where's your mask? All these mask Karens come out of nowhere. The mask police show up, try to put you in a mask. I remember it was the last time this happened. Nazis were coming. Nazis are coming. I disagree, Doomer. I think it was a lot earlier than that. Bread rescue time. All right. Awesome. Awesome, Stella. Mob mentality. It is. It is. But we know that's how it works. What do you do? We've seen it happen we've seen it happen here. People got arrested for not wearing masks. You're creating a disturbance, they said. It's not because you're not wearing a mask. It's because you're creating a disturbance. You're going against the grain. You're going against the pattern. That's part of the pattern. There's always going to be a wild card in there somewhere. What's up, Matt? Because the pattern has to change. The pattern has to evolve. Something has to change it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it fails. I noticed, Doomer. Right, lucky? Yeah. You have to think about grandma. Oh man, the Netherlands, the police were throwing people down on their face for not having a mask on. People in the UK and Australia literally got quarantined in concentration camps. See the pattern? We know what tyranny looks like. And even this is a pattern. All of those that have shouted it from the rooftops have did the Paul Revere thing and said the tyranny is coming, and ran through the towns proclaiming it, yet no one listens. Of course, anomalies exist, and even those randomly generated anomalies are still a pattern. Combat. Yeah. I only have one neck. I have two neck gaiters. One's black, for obvious reasons. I like being a ninja sometimes. And I've got one that's a faded American flag. But I work in an area where I there's a lot of dust and debris. So of course, I learned with a mask is I take a N95 mask, put it on, and then I put the gaiter on top of that, and that protects me from a lot of dust and debris in the air. Because we get dusty in that plant. But anyway, what was I talking about? Forefathers are doing somersaults in their graves right now. They fought and died for purple-haired dipshits to hand over the country to Hitler. Kentucky. So it's Kentucky survival. He has a crack pattern. Right. Yeah. We know what this looks like. We even with our 1776 event, there's the idea of right, Majik, yeah, right. Even in 1776, you heard the idea of the one percenters. Not everybody stood up. Quilt patterns, right. The one percenters, the three percenters, the 11 percenters, whatever. All these people. There's always going to be a pattern, a group of people that say, no, fuck that. And there's always going to be a majority of people that say, nah, fuck that. I'm going to step back, not get involved. But we know the pattern of that too. Eventually, when everyone gets on board, they have to go with it. That mob mentality, right? It works both ways. The statistics, right? Let's see if I can remember the statistics. 20% will go along. Well, 20% of the population will do as they are told. They will do what is expected of them. You want to wear a mask, 3 masks, fine. They will comply. There's another 20% that, or 30% that they just go along to get along. They do it just because they want to fit in. They want to be. They don't want to push the envelope too much. They don't want to show their hand. They're doing it for many reasons, to find success, to carry on with their jobs, to remain anonymous, if you will. And there's always another 20% that say, fuck you, I'm not going to do what you tell me. Never. Fuck you. It's usually the criminals, they're usually the rebels, they're the vagabonds and thieves that live that life anyway. And then there's another group. There's 5 to 10% that have already left. They're like, fuck this, I'm out of here. And they don't want to be a part of any of this, and they leave. And then there's another 15% that they've left already and went into the woods, never to be seen again. Any one of those groups can, if they grab a majority of people, can influence the whole of the 100%. But you're always going to have that, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Even if dissent is crushed, even if rebellions and happen and they've silenced everyone and the secret police have came and arrested all the dissenters, there's always going to be that 10, 15%, 20% that says, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And it grows. When they leave, there's going to be more. There's going to be another 20% that's like, that was fucked up. I don't like that. Like Chicago. Armageddon, the movie. Have I? I think I have. Oh. American. Like a Mask of Honor, yeah. Drinking the Kool-Aid. Yeah. That's that 30%. Go along to get along. And they figure, yeah, yeah. China's known for it. China plays into that. Everything that China's done, they use that against their people. Because there's always the finger waggers. You've seen it in every kung fu movie. You've seen it in a lot of their things. Somebody does something wrong. Everybody's like, ee. A crowd starts to gather around. They start waving their fingers. Ooh, that's bad. That's a very bad. Yeah, we need to kick his ass. Oh, let's kick his ass. Ah. Comply. Mob mentality. But if 5% of a group or gang come walking up with their machetes and their axes and go, no, and start hacking people up. Oh shit, they all disperse and say that's a bad idea. It'll be all right. Looks sexy. We're all doomed. Doomed, I tell you. Doomed. Nah. See, that's the pattern. We always believe that the end of the world is nigh, but it never comes. I know, right, Carl? We should all be dead by now. But even that was a pattern. The government says, do what I say, do what I say, do what I say. A few people did what they said. A lot of people did what they said. But now they're going back on it, going, you know what? Maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Viva la revolution. That's another pattern. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid they know the pattern. The tyrants know the pattern. They can only push the people so far, until they say they've had enough. Yeah, we're all supposed to die sometime, right? The end was supposed to hit many, many times. The death cult has always, yes, they are actually doing it, Lily. They are actually doing it. They've been doing it in the UK. They've been doing it in Australia. Yeah. But even the revolution is a pattern. Like I said, the tyrants know. We are at that point, and they know it. Why do you think they are attacking the Constitution so hard? Yeah. I don't know, Doomer. I don't know. You might want to get a globe just in case, just to blend in, be gray man. History is definitely a pattern. Those who forget their history are doomed to repeat it. Hence the pattern. All right, farm boy, everybody stop what you're doing. Do not comment or anything of that nature. I'm going to shut up because Wisconsin Frog Boy will be right back. Miss Tree, cold enough and have plenty of MIC customers for a while. Patterns, rhythms, music. Good for the mind, good for the soul. We know that the We know that puts us in an alpha state. Everybody's known that. Convoy, the corn pop. What was it? Rah. Chicken Man. And that's another pattern. The rich, the poor. But the Constitution was supposed you got a point there. The Constitution was supposed to make every man equal, right? Right? Funny mustache man. Yeah. There again is a pattern. When the rich people get so rich that they can't be any richer. They can't spend all their money in their lifetime. Oh, that was who was that? Rolling Rolling no, not Rolling Stones. Other guy. Tyler. Uh, but we know that when the rich get so rich they can't spend all their money in their lifetime, it's not about their riches, it's about their power. Right? Let them eat cake. It's the wrong thing to say. Eat the rich. No, it was yeah, okay, you might be right, Crotus. And then what's his name? Steve Tyler. I know his band. They put out Eat the Rich. Thank you, Aerosmith. Yeah, Aerosmith did as well. There's a pattern there. And if you don't feed the poor and the poor run out of food, they will eventually eat the rich. And the Constitution, too. Right. Yeah, crocus. Yeah. Seasons. It's a pattern. That too is a pattern. We go around the earth. The earth rotates around the sun X amount of times, X amount of rotations. Creates the seasons. The sun has its own patterns. Every now and then we know that every 100,000 to 300,000 years something happens. Boom! You know, the earth goes through a drastic change. But we know that chaotic beginning starts to turn into a more stable environment. You know, we do know that because there's older planets than Earth that we've seen that, you know, the tectonic plates start to stop moving and things start to stabilize and there's a more stable pattern. Lunar pattern. Well, corn pock, even that is a pattern. Even that is a pattern. Corn pop. You flat earthers. Right on. I encourage it. I mean, I don't believe it, but I encourage it. You know, it makes you think. It makes you wonder. It makes you think. It's thought provoking. Constitutional Carver. Ahoy! Ahoy there, Carpenter. Coliseum of Deception, right? Yeah. I mean, that's why the Rome's had their had their huge coliseums. Every city, every town had enough coliseums for all the people. They give away free food, free bread. You could always get free bread. You could usually get a drink somewhere, you know. The wine and beer were being poured everywhere, and you sat there and watched a show, you know. Really, Simon and Garfunkel. Right on. Did you get the rain I sent? Yes, thank you, Pure Blood. We're getting it now. Uh, there's other lands someone is not telling us about. Professional sports, the plebeian games. We also know that there is a pattern. Corn Pop, I have seen some fat chicks with flat asses. It's weird, but yeah, it does exist. But even there is also a pattern of great awakening and evolution in the human mind, consciousness, and soul. The Renaissance. Oh yeah, the galaxies, big patterns. The galaxies make up a that when you pull way back and look at the patterns of the galaxies and their arrangements with each other, even in their chaotic flowing around and bumping into Andromeda is on the Milky Way and Andromeda are on a collision course. We would then become another super galaxy, but there's going to be a lot of chaos before that happens. But when you pull back, you see this pattern. It looks like a tree of galaxies that are stuck in some type of pattern. What's up, Blaine? A pattern of chaos. It's a controlled chaos. It's a pattern. It is a pattern. Spiral Architects Rock. Blaine. Everything is arranged in some type of pattern. Your in-finger print pattern is like rings on a tree. Yes. Once you understand the pattern, you should be able to predict the systems. Exactly. Yeah. Water, CO2. Oh, no, what? Yeah. No, H2O. H2O. Hydrogen and oxygen combined a certain way to make water, which is life-giving. All life needs water. Wow, really, Pure Blood? Oh shit. So many patterns. Spend your whole life looking at patterns. Oh yeah, combat. Cells in our bodies are all in pattern. We are a pattern. We're a pattern of patterns. The human body is a pattern of patterns. Most life is a pattern of patterns, going all the way down to the DNA. Time slip, dimensional changes. Ooh. Sleep patterns. We all heard about the Arcadian rhythms. If you disrupt that, then you have calamity in your life and bad health and bad decision making. If you keep to that Arcadian rhythm and have a excellent sleep pattern, you promote your life, you promote your well-being. Pattern of observation, yes. Yes, I'm familiar with that too. Yeah. Like a pattern. This change, especially if you took the jab. Right, yeah. You're no longer human, you're Crimea. Dude, I must be peaking. I'm seeing patterns, man. LSD, huh? Tripping. Start to see some type of pattern. A look behind the curtain, if you will, to see the real patterns. The pattern is full. Experiments with speakers and said, "Oh, we were just talking about that, Chicken Man. Virginia was saying that. Yep. Made flowers, patterns on the cat's fur. Cars, that was pretty good. Damn. Miss T. Wow. And see, they know what they're doing. This tyranny that we're facing. They know how to disrupt the pattern to get their favorable conditions. Right, pure blood. But that's the thing is that as much as you try to be random, you still create a pattern. As random as things appear, there's always going to be a pattern. What's up, plumber? Evening, sir. I trust this video finds you well. Patterns. A plumber could tell you a thing or two about patterns. A plan. You have to have a plan. You have to make the pattern. Randomness is also a pattern. Yeah. Just be spontaneous. Disciplined moment. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Just be crazy. Pattern of success. Right? Pattern of neglect towards veterans at the VA. No shit. Damn. That's deep. That hurts. Being random all the time is a pattern. Right, man. Pattern is order. I'd say pattern, order is the norm of life. It is. Camel Carl, right? Repetition. Pattern, thumbs up. What's up, bee charming? Bees have a pattern. Look at their honeycombs. Right. Chaos every once in a while. That's what the wild card's for. That's what the rebel is for. Because to have a healthy pattern, you've got to have some type of force of change. Yeah. It's hexagon squares, they store their babies in them, they sleep in them, they store their food in them. Changing the pattern is needed to grow because the pattern will adapt, change, and overcome. It will change to fit the needs of whatever the force being put in. Graphene. Look at graphene. Graphene is a set aligned pattern of aligned graphite. And it makes one of the strongest materials ever and most conductive. Violence even has a pattern. Yeah. Entropy. Yeah, entropy. Eventually the pattern dissipates and breaks down. The entropy, the entropy of energy output. Yeah, right. Boom. Steve-O, right on. 502, represent. Yep. I was 801, if you know what that is. Yes. I think, yeah. Still 801? Yeah. It's been changed to something else, though. I think it's changed to 731. I don't know. I used to be 801. Yeah. Yeah, Linda was just here. Yeah, she was just here. She made a guest appearance. She's like, I'm still here. I love that. Yeah. Native Americans, they had a lot of, they were one with nature. They seen the patterns and they used it. So you could make your own simplicity sewed patterns so you can make your own clothes. You figured out patterns to make things of metal. I don't know. It's a pattern. It's a cause and effect, which means there's got to be a pattern of success, a pattern of why it is. Well, we've been changing and evolving and devolving, I guess you could say, for quite some time. No longer do we eat the way we used to eat. We used to be time says that, which I don't really believe. I really truly believe that we've been here a lot longer than what they say, of course. But they we get lied to a lot here. Solar patterns have ruled civilizations for all the time, right? Repetition, yeah. Cycle short enough. The same bloodlines, the patterns and benefit by conquering. Stuart, what's up, Stu? Our knowledge would be our downfall. Ooh. Wow. But if you believe what scientists and historians tell you, that we used to be hunter gatherers, we would run through the forest and hunt our food, while the men would run down their prey and kill it with rocks and the forest for fruits, nuts, and berries. That the men coming back would eat off the land and come back with their meat and say, "Here you go. Into our caves we go to make fire and cook and eat." And then somehow, some way, we said, "Oh no, let's start farming," which was a route, whatever. I'm not going to quote dates because I know they're way off. The pattern does not fit. And then from farms became large civilizations capable of building massive monolithic structures, lots of procreation. And so now we're left with what we have now. Knowledge is always power. Nothing new under the sun. Yeah, the energies. That's how it explained to me. The energy is there. You can use it for wherever you wish. All it needs is the intent behind it. Do you wish to use it for good, or do you wish to use it for bad? Yeah, exactly. Göbekli Tepe is 12 to 14,000, and the more ancient structures in Africa date back 50, 100,000, maybe 300,000. Hmm. Tinsel should be used for stirring hot molecules. We see the patterns. We know the patterns. Everything has patterns. Yet we blind ourselves. We blind ourselves and we lie to ourselves. Even though we see all the patterns, the stars aligning, the writings on the walls, the patterns of corruption and tyranny, patterns of war and pestilence and slavery all around us. Yet we want to lie to ourselves and tell us that everything's okay. What is everything? Everything is okay. Ignorance is bliss. Remember that one? Knowledge is power. Ignorance is bliss. So be ignorant. It's easier. Alexandra. Right on. True demonic is willful ignorance. Ooh. It does have a beauty to it, Lane. I agree. Wow, metal for breakfast. Devo. No shit. Oh, man. What is best in life? Call bullshit. We captured some young animals, ate them when they got bigger. Husbandry was born there. But even that is a pattern. History, religion, etc., all depicted by what certain men, what they be told. Don't entrap your mind. Yeah, what's up with your metal? Could be true as I gain wisdom. Music is such a great pattern, and it affects your mood. It has the ability to arrange sand and other things, soothe the savage beast, influence nations. We see the music today and how it's being used to influence in a very negative way. Buffering during your live stream is becoming a pattern. Haha, Eric. No shit, right? And since Majik has sewed our hearts beat in a pattern, if that pattern ends, we die. Or we notice it immediately, don't we, Doomer? Something's wrong with your heart. You're like, ooh. Oh, shit. Something's wrong with this pattern. Damn. I gotta fix this. Yeah. That's a great thing about seeing patterns, knowing patterns, studying patterns, being attuned to the patterns. When it changes, you automatically see it and know it, feel it. Oh, shit, something's going on. Fine-tune to our brain's reactions. Yeah. Right, Virginia? Yeah, AI is learning. You're learning. Using patterns as a form of control. Yeah. Blood patterns as well. We're such good hunters. Be wiped out. The human spirit extinction. Thank you, Gunpowder. A hit song can be anticipated and created based on that algorithm. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. And it's also based on the evolution at that time. Because you look at the 80s. That's all I gotta say. Look at the 70s, look at the 80s, look at the progression and the evolution of music and the pattern of such. Patterns are comfortable. Well, kind of. Yeah. I mean, we like to put things in, we like to arrange all things in patterns. We like to think that we know what the patterns of success are, Yeah, Virginia, patterns of thought. Yeah, Virginia could tell you a lot about that. I'm just a novice. Pavlov's dog. Your habits are your patterns. That whole concept. Look at our propaganda that we see. They know how it works, and it's also a ratio game. Right? My thoughts do have a tumor. My synapses just skipped. I like breaking up the pattern. I like breaking up my own pattern. Throughout my whole life, I have no pattern. Bachelor's got to have your labels. Yeah, we like to label things, don't we? And we claim to know what the patterns are. Yeah. Our dating patterns. You know. Women are from Venus and men are from Mars. It appears that everybody is from Venus now. They're all heading to Uranus. What the fuck? See the pattern? But see, even this same pattern that we're seeing. Yeah, exactly, Dimmer. Yeah. They have good fudge. This pattern has been used many, many times. Placate and pacify and feminize the male population, the best packers in the universe. The fighting age males, you know, and you can stop any revolution before it even starts with doilies and makeup. Yeah, chicken man. No shit. No shit. How many? I see a pattern of comic relief to talk about painful subjects. Should be going faster. Yeah, right, Misty. Yeah, mystery. All right, folks. Smoke break time. And it's just about time for me to go to bed. Let's see. Oh, it's way past my bedtime. I forget. I've changed my pattern. I've changed my pattern. I am now on some good supplements. Changing my, and I totally fuck up my my sleep patterns on the weekends. You know, last night I stayed up until what, 3 o'clock, doing fucking trial by apps. Oh yeah, it feels good out here. It is currently still 50 degrees, even after the sun drop. The sun is. Ugh. Consistency, a schedule. There's patterns and there's also evolutions. So even the patterns must dissipate and die. Final thoughts. Yeah. Like Jerry Springer, yeah, that'd be cool. Here's a pattern every time I come out here. My head hurts. Why is that? No, it's every time I sit in this chair. What? Whoa, hey. Mark cracks. Right, chicken man, yeah. Right in the pit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Ah, yes. Let's break up the pattern. We like to, I do this too, we keep in a pattern of pain. Oh shit, come on, Carl. Great fudge of eaters. Hey, I just seen a pop-up. Mark Cracks MC is doing his first live. Check him out. You guys know Mark? I want to go over there before I go to bed. So, I am going to end this. Yes, right now. So yes, thank you all very, very much for hanging out with me. It's Sunday Reflections. talking about patterns as I break up this pattern. So, good night, everyone.